What's up, everybody, and welcome to Vice City Bricks, where I bring you some very mediocre and bland LEGO content that may or may not have a thing or two to do with the Miami atmosphere. Today we'll be reviewing the 30364 popcorn cart with 1 minifig, 46 pieces, $4. Oh, hold on, wait a second. That is not what this video is going to be about. No. Let's zoom out here. This is my second all-time high-rise building that I built in Lego bricks. 4 years in the making. I present to you guys to Midtown, which is located in the Midtown Miami residential and commercial area. I mean, this building is so big that it doesn't even fit in the camera frame. Anyway, the real 2 Midtown is 320 feet, 30 stories, and has quite a few units, while the Lego version is 2.5 feet tall, 22 inches long, 15 inches wide, and has no real units because, well, the way the selective compression and this micro minifig scale is adapted, the Lego version does not have much in the way for minifigure provisions. So the designing and building process for this building took 4 years, starting in 2014 when the Element, my previous high-rise apartment, was completed for the Greater Florida Lego Users Group's Tampa display. So I wanted to bring something to Miami. I wanted to bring in a little Miami to the club. So this building was the first natural choice. While it's not the most famous downtown building, let alone it's a couple miles away from downtown Miami, it's still fairly recognizable, being spotted easily from the side of Interstate 195 when you're heading to the beach. So many of the tourists that go straight from the airport to the beach will probably run into this building. It's located along the Florida East Coast Main Line, now served largely by Brightline, the port lead, and actually stands where the Buena Vista Yard was. So a little bit of railroad history is involved in this building. And in fact, the street that it is addressed to is East Coast Avenue. Might have something to do with FEC. 2014, I actually made a preliminary attempt at this, only starting on the southeast corner, which is pretty much where I'm focusing on right now. So a lot of the gray walled sections, none of the windowed sections had been done. I wasn't even able to make it above the first floor. In 2015, early 2015, I think I made it to this level right here, and it was a lot wider too. It was more bulky, a little more cumbersome, and unfortunately I decided that the project was not really sustainable at the time, so I just canceled and broke down the pieces. This building was supposed to be built at the same time that, and get this, I was very ambitious, One Biscayne Tower in downtown Miami, Freedom Tower in downtown Miami were going to be built at the same time. So after the 2015 cancellation, fast forward to 2018, where I finally decided to give a real go at this building. It was May of the year, and I was already considering building the Brightline set. Basically revisiting the plans to do the Midtown apartments came naturally, and this was the easiest building to do, the first one, and so I just went with it. I actually decided to keep myself motivated by starting with the midsection here. This was the first piece built. And then you'll see on the other side, and I'll make reference to it in a minute, 2 other modules that I put together. One, I had the pieces, and then when I started bricklinking heavily this December and started to put the whole thing together compositely, that's when those sections joined in, and that kind of sped up the process, kept me motivated, kept me fresh, and pushed me to pretty much complete this in record time. This entire building took 3.5 weeks to put together, gross timing. And there were skip days because I was waiting on a bricklink order, I was out rail fanning, or I was out with the Echoes Model Train Club displaying. And if you head over to Toga East Coast, you will find the video. And I'll also mention that the video of the Element skyscraper is on the Toga East Coast YouTube channel. And it may reappear at some time on this channel since the Greater Florida Lego Users Group's downtown Tampa display is being reactivated. And one more thing before we tour the building about that downtown Tampa display. The late Robin Warner started that initiative in 2006, and it featured a certain scaling that this building has adapted. That's a microfig scale. The ground floor is fairly minifigure scale. It's nothing like the modulars. It's kind of more like a classic town minifigure scale, and Robin liked to build classic town. So you have about 5 bricks of height for minifigs, vertical clearance, and then I have 2 extra bricks in height because that's how it was designed in the skyscraper. And then going up, Any other floors going upwards were micro scale, and you really chose how to do it. Many times it would probably happen that with the way the scaling is done, where Robin conceived a 1 to 150 scale, that the average height of a floor should be about 2.5 bricks. But Lego works in thirds. Halves are very difficult to come by in Lego system. But however, to maintain a decent look and feel, I decided to go with 3 bricks. And in exchange for that, whereas you would kind of run a surplus in bricks or in floor height, you would have to omit unnecessary floors. So this bottom section has 1 fewer floor for sure. The left mid-rise actually has maybe 2 or 3 floors missing. And this particular center of the tower, there are definitely 2 stories missing here and another 3 stories missing here, I believe. But however, the scaling was fairly faithful, it was fairly maintained, and this building came out to be approximately 1 to 120, 1 to 125. Thankfully, there's a lot more freedom in Lego, and that freedom allowed me to wiggle around the scaling. And of course, this is a fairly exclusive standard here. While the greater floor of the Lego Users Group Tampa buildings are designed to be able to be moved around, the installation and design and the uniqueness of the Midtown series will likely force it to be one configuration only, which will be the 4 to 5 buildings arranged in a row. And like, it doesn't have to be exactly 1 to 150 because you can kind of wiggle. I mean, there's already going to be deviations in scale when you have sections in the display, such as the modulars or other city sets, etc. So those factors have been considered. And as another feature of the microfig scale, you have to find ways to make areas like a pool and amenity deck that you see here kind of zoomed in, kind of hidden away. I'll of course show those in a moment. You have to find ways to make those sort of work for minifigs and be convincing enough. No need for rigidity. No need to strictly follow the standard. If you strictly keep everything, if you made this thing minifig scale, the building would not be finished. If you made the entire building micro scale, well, it wouldn't really fit. And if you really tried to bona fide make everything work in a certain way, it would just be too complicated. It's nice. The final product here is nice, simple, and effective. And that's what really matters the most. The south side of the building is fairly straightforward. If you look on my Flickr, Brickbuilder 711 or Toga East Coast, you will find a picture of an FEC train on the port lead with this particular section of the building showing. What's neat about this is that it creates a nice tall look, and I mean, this part's fairly featureless in comparison to the bottom or other parts of the building. And there are 2 balconies on the high-rise portion of the 2 Midtown complex that have foliage on the deck. So I made sure to include that when doing this building. So as you go down, you hit the fitness deck, the gym. There's a gym here, which of course this is supposed to be 2 stories, but the way I use the windows, it could pass as a single story complex. So really you should look at it more like this instead of like this. So an image posed like this could fit minifigures, whereas like this, not so much. The pool deck has been quite compressed. This side is definitely wider. But I feel that the way I did it was kind of a make-do solution, and I'm happy with what I have here. Pool uses medium azure and trans light blue tiles, and there is a minifigure sunbathing here with a cap and another minifigure with a baseball cap swimming in the water. The foliage uses classic flowers, classic flower stalks over here, classic flowers all over, and the new 6-way flower stalks here. Whereas in the prototype, this part is mostly bush, but I don't have the right bush pieces, so I just decided to do like these huge ensembles of flowers here. And the tree selection, fairly simple brick-built palm trees here. And Whereas the trees are very bushy on this side, I just went ahead and used spruce trees and pine trees. These are more like spruce-like anyhow, or poplar-like. And then the west side, looking more to the west, there's the mid-rise portion of the building. Ground floor features a bunch of luxury apartments, and there are shops on the ground floor. But since there are plans to do another high-rise here, these will not necessarily have to show. So I just made these simple, didn't want to waste too much time on them, and I think the way it's set up, it's just fine. The east side of the building, definitely from this angle, is very featureless. All you're just seeing is the building and its various window and wall configurations. The walls have been as faithful as possible, and I've followed Google references, Google Earth, Google Street View, in deciding the arrangement of these white columns. It is possible that this is actually supposed to be gray all the way down. However, the way the light hits the building, it just appears to be white, so I kept with that. And then the entrance to the car park is actually here. Very featureless, and this should be the lobby of the apartment. I've not been inside the prototype, but I have a feel for what it is. And here there is actually another retail store. The north side of the building is fairly remarkable. Again, the featureless tower, but it is met by a very interesting garage arrangement. So this area was one module that I did in May of 2018, and this is another module, this particular section here that went all the way down to the rolling door. The rolling door uses a boxcar door, and I managed to secure it and lock it in place so it doesn't wiggle when I transport it. Small grill details, little piping, yada yada yada. You don't have to be too rigid with the details here. That's a neat feature of doing micro minifig scale. And this side right here features another couple apartments here going down. There is a lounge area here. There are supposed to be a couple sofa chairs. I'll put them in eventually. But there are two tables here, and what I did like about this was the nougat actually it was more chestnutty in the prototype wooden tile roof that I captured by doing some upside down snot using headlight bricks and upside down plates. And the lights unfortunately do not light up, but what can you do? Maybe a solution can be done in the future to make them light up. And then here's more of the same, and on the bottom is the cheese course. Since there is not much room for detail, I did kind of touch up on the fact that it is a cheese course location. I put slices of cheese on display here, and I put a minifigure server with a cheese plate. And of course, I had to simply make a play on Lego's part type that they call the cheese wedge, actually many fans colloquially call the cheese wedge, by making the cheese slices cheese wedges. Now this side was a real doozy. This is the west side of the building. Has the mid-rise apartments, about 11 to 13 stories in real life. Of course, this was compressed down, and it was compressed on the north to south as well. So in real life, when you see this will appear to be a lot wider. That's okay. Couple luxury balcony units up here, and then going down. Very standard and semi-randomized balcony window placements. Some units have, some cubicles have the balcony, some cubicles have windows. There are far more, like I said, in the real prototype, but I kind of made a choice. I picked and chose which ones to capture in this version. And then going down here, there's some shops. I believe another entrance to the mid-rise here, and there's the ATM that I mentioned earlier for Chase. Let's see if I can. So that was preserved minifig wise, so you could pretty much put a minifig there. He'll be drawing his money. Hopefully nobody will be out there to skim his ATM card. And then there's the south end of the building. But because I did not want to do interior details, notice that I put light aqua 1x2x5s all over various parts of the building. I feel that the interior details are not quite a must on these types of projects. As well, one, they will add so much time Two, they will be very hard to view in general, just as they are in modular buildings. You have to open up the building to see what's inside for the most part, or you can light it up. But again, these things, they kind of well, they wouldn't distract from the overall image, but you kind of want you don't want to look at something that's too much. So I figured I made the appropriate choices to detail what I had to detail and just simplify what I have to simplify. So that is our tour, and look at the 2 Midtown high-rise located in Midtown, Miami. And I definitely look forward to sharing this model in the future with events for the Greater Florida LEGO Users Group, both locally and in Central Florida. And while I do mention that, yes, the club, most of their events are in Central Florida, but I feel that South Florida deserves a lot of LEGO love, and that is actually one of my New Year's resolutions, is to really push and promote the hobby in South Florida. And I will make a mention / a shout out to Kiko from the Dayland Lego store. He wants to start a gathering of local adult fans of Lego. Tampa has such a strong group. Orlando has a fairly strong group. South Florida, we have more population density than both of those regions, and we deserve a lot of organization and fellowship in this hobby. Anyway, that being said, I thank you guys for watching this fairly long and dull video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscriptions are always appreciated. Suggestions are always appreciated. And always additional fellowship in the LEGO hobby is strongly appreciated. Thanks again, and until next time, from home base, from the workbench at HQ, this is TE out.